The New Orleans Saints are hiding the most important clue about their future in plain sight, and it is not the record. Everybody sees the losses and assumes this season is dead, but inside that building, the mood feels like a launch, not a shutdown. The shocking part is how fast the tone changes the moment Tyler Shuck takes control, because it feels less like a backup filling time and more like a new leader walking into the room. Here is what nobody is talking about. When Tyler Shuck calls the play, the huddle looks locked in, not confused, and the sideline reacts like they expect something good to happen. You see it when Chris Olave snaps off a route and wins outside, when Devon Vell fights for a tough catch over the middle, and when Juwan Johnson turns a tight window into a first down. Even the older heartbeat of this team, Demario Davis and Cameron Jordan, still bring that same edge, and the young defenders like Kool-Aid McKinstry and Jonas Sanker are starting to look like real cornerstones. The record says one thing, but the way they move says the Saints believe a new core is forming right now. But here is the twist that makes this feel bigger than a few good moments. This whole shift is happening with a quarterback most people did not expect to matter this soon, and the belief around Tyler Shuck is growing every week. That raises one heavy question that the Saints cannot dodge much longer. What is he doing on the field that makes grown pros buy in so fast? And is it real enough to build the next version of this team around him? But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Saints and all the NFL content. Can we get 100 likes on this video? The New Orleans Saints are not running a season on autopilot, they are rewiring how they play. And you can feel it in the way drives are built. The calls are cleaner, the rhythm is quicker, and the plan looks like it was designed to survive real NFL pressure instead of hoping for perfect plays. This is what a reset actually looks like. Less chaos, more structure, and a team that is trying to grow up fast in front of everyone. The heart of that change starts where games are really decided, up front and in the backfield. Alvin Kamara is still the stress point for every defense, and Devin Neal brings fresh legs that keep the run game alive even when blocking is not pretty. On the edge, Kelvin Banks and Taliezafuaga give the Saints something teams spend years trying to find. Young tackles who can become the long-term answer. Inside is where the pain has been, with Eric McCoy battling health, Cesar Ruiz needing cleaner play, and the whole middle needing real stability. And moving on from Trevor Penning shows the team is willing to make hard calls to protect the future. But here is the pressure point. None of this matters if the quarterback cannot live inside that structure when the pocket gets tight and the game speeds up. The Saints can call the right plays, build the right line, and lean on the backs. But the whole reset only becomes real when one player proves he can steer it on Sundays. That is why the next part hits so hard, because the Saints ended up turning to an unexpected rookie quarterback. And what happened after that is the reason this story has started to feel bigger than a normal rebuild. The New Orleans Saints did something that usually splits a locker room in half. They changed quarterbacks in the middle of the storm, and the quiet reaction told the real story. There was no panic, no eye rolling, no feeling of a team giving up. The shock is that the switch did not feel like a desperate move. It felt like the start of a new plan. This is where Spencer Rattler gets tied to the turning point because the offense needed steady hands and the moment was getting heavy. Then Tyler Shuck steps in, not as a project, but as a rookie who plays like he has already lived through the hard parts. A 26-year-old who has taken hits in his football life, a second-round pick who knows the whole world is ready to call him a fluke, and a quarterback who walks into chaos and still looks calm. That calm spreads fast, and you can see why teammates treat his snaps like they matter. Now comes the part that decides whether this is real or just a short burst of hope. It is one thing to bring energy, it is another thing to stack proof on the field against real opponents. The next step is the only thing that counts. The games where Tyler Shuck had to throw under pressure, answer after mistakes, and show he can carry drives when nothing is easy. Once you hear what happened in those first key starts, you will understand why this story suddenly feels dangerous for the rest of the league. The New Orleans Saints did not get a soft landing for Tyler Shuck. They got real pressure, real stakes, and real moments where one mistake could break the whole drive. That is why these games matter, because they were not pretty scripts where everything worked. They were the kind of Sundays where the quarterback has to keep the team breathing, even when the margin is thin and the defense knows what is coming. Start with the Carolina game because that is where people stopped calling it a fluke. Tyler Shuck went 19 of 27 for 282 yards with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. And it felt controlled, not lucky. Then came Atlanta, where the run game never showed up and he still had to keep the offense moving with 30 completions on 43 attempts, fighting for every chain move. And against Miami, after a slow start, he settled in and answered with 26 completions on 38 attempts for 239 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, taking hits, staying upright, and still finishing drives. The loudest part is that this is happening while he is still a rookie, because most first-year guys look rattled when the game turns messy. These starts showed a pattern. He can recover inside a game, he can handle volume when the plan breaks, and he can protect the ball when the defense is hunting a mistake. Now the question shifts from what he produced to how he produced it, because the details in his movement and decision-making are where you find out if this is a real long-term thing or just a short run. The New Orleans Saints are not getting fooled by a couple pretty throws. They are reacting to the habits Tyler Shough is building snap after snap. The shocking part is how he plays like the moment is never too big, because he is already choosing the safe win when the defense tries to bait him. He does not chase hero plays just to look brave. He takes what keeps the offense on schedule, and that is exactly how a rookie earns trust fast. What makes it feel real is how he handles the parts of football most fans miss. Before the snap, Tyler Shough looks like he knows where the danger is coming from, and after the snap, he gets the ball out with purpose instead of fear. When the first read is covered, he does not freeze. He moves to the next answer and lives for the next play. That is why his completions feel like progress, not empty throws, because they keep the Saints in manageable situations where the playbook stays open. But here's the tension. This style only becomes scary if the team gives him just a little more help. If defenses can lock on one main target and squeeze the passing lanes, even the best decisions get harder. So the next question is simple. Who on this roster is truly making life easier for Tyler Shough? And who is still forcing him to be perfect to keep the chains moving? The New Orleans Saints have a passing game that tells you the truth fast. Because defenses are not scared of everyone, they are scared of one name and they lean on it all game. Chris Olave is carrying a heavy load, and the numbers show it in a way nobody can ignore. 76 catches for 811 yards and 5 touchdowns, even when coverage is tilted his way. That kind of production is not just talent, it is survival. Because it means the offense still has an answer when the defense tries to take away everything else. The next layer is the supporting cast finally starting to show clear roles instead of random targets. Devon Bell is becoming that tough middle option who can win with size and strong hands, especially when the field gets tight near the goal line. Juwan Johnson has turned into a real trust target in traffic, climbing to over 600 receiving yards with 3 touchdowns. And that matters because tight ends become a quarterback safety valve when the pocket is loud. Then you have Mason Tipton, who is fighting for snaps and doing the dirty work. And that is important because depth players decide whether a drive lives or dies when injuries hit and fatigue shows up. But here's the problem that makes this section feel like a warning and a promise at the same time. Even good weapons look average when the quarterback has to hurry every throw, and this offense is still asking for clean timing on plays that need a little patience. If the Saints want Tyler Shough to get the full value out of Chris Olave, Devon Bell, and Juwan Johnson, the protection has to stop collapsing from the inside. Because the next thing we need to talk about is the one weakness that keeps showing up on almost every drive. The New Orleans Saints can call a smart game, but the middle of the pocket keeps stealing the plan before it can breathe. Pressure is showing up right in the quarterback's face, so Tyler Shough has to make a decision before the routes even have time to form. That is why some plays look rushed even when the idea is right, because the danger is not coming from the edge. It is coming straight through the center of the formation. When Eric McCoy is not fully available, the whole front can feel shaky, and that stress lands on every snap. Cesar Ruiz and the guard group have had moments, but not enough steady reps to make the pocket feel safe, and that changes what the offense can even attempt. The tackles are the bright spot because Kelvin Banks and Thales Fuaga can hold the outside and keep the play alive. But even strong tackles cannot save a quarterback if the inside keeps bending. And moving on from Trevor Penning is not just a roster move. It is the Saints admitting they will not protect the future with hope. They need real answers. This is not only about passing, it hits the run game too, because Alvin Kamara and Devin Neal can only do so much when defenders are meeting them in the backfield. Fix the middle, and suddenly the play-action game gets sharper, the third downs get calmer, and Tyler Shuck gets a fair chance to show what he really is as a rookie. That is where the story turns into a front office question. Because if the Saints believe they can build real protection and real weapons, do they still chase another quarterback in 2026? Or do they treat what they are seeing right now as the clearest sign to commit? The New Orleans Saints are approaching the one choice that can speed up a rebuild or drag it out for years, and it is not a play call, it is a commitment. They already invested in Tyler Shuck, and they still have Spencer Rattler on a cheap deal, which gives the front office a rare window to spend resources everywhere else. That is why the idea of taking another quarterback in 2026 feels like a trap, because it steals the best advantage they have right now, time and money to build a real team around a rookie who is already earning belief. That belief is not coming from fans on social media, it is coming from inside the locker room where words actually have weight. Tyrann Mathieu has backed Tyler Shuck in public, and when a vet like that speaks, everyone listens. You also feel it in the way leaders like Demario Davis and Cameron Jordan treat him, like the offense has a direction again instead of a weekly debate. When the defense is playing with pride and the quarterback still gets respect in a rough season, it tells you the Saints are not waiting for the future. They think the future is already in the building. Now the front office has to match that energy with a clear plan, because the roster still has holes that are holding everyone back. The Saints can add real support while the defense keeps forming its next wave with Kool-Aid McKinstry, Jonas Sanker, Alante Taylor, Brian Breesy, Carl Granderson, and Chase Young, instead of forcing them to carry every week. They can also choose what to do with Spencer Rattler, keep him as strong insurance, or explore a deal to a team like Pittsburgh or Minnesota for picks that help fix the roster faster. And that is the final question that decides everything. Do the Saints act like they found their answer and build around Tyler Shuck? Or do they panic and chase another mystery in 2026?